Good evening, everyone. I agree with I second the motion for Tatiana to request the formal presentation for the DOE because actually I'm the president council and we're running for different schools to bring the video and presentation about our idea for the choices. And different parent associations called to me and they want the formal presentation for the DOE because they want to listen to the DOE too. And they told me they have questions for the DOE. For example, last week I was on the meeting in some institution for our community, and you have 5 presidents for the parent association and that meeting, and they told me that to me, and I promised that I went to the CEC and request the formal presentation for the DOE. Thank you.
If we're going to have this thing, I would request that it be a full range of experts because I'm not convinced that the DOE has our best interests in mind, right? So I'd like to hear some counter comments as well.
Sure, I agree. So there's a motion we're going to really add something to that motion.
I would propose that we add to this motion that there be at least 4 different speakers at this presentation. The DOE, Lisa Donlin, or someone who is experienced with choice, and 2 additional speakers, for example, someone who would speak to the dangers of the concept of choice and privatization and market-based approaches to education, and possibly another expert. I would like to add that at least 4 people be there and that this not be weighted towards presenters who are going to be in favor of this concept of dezoning the district.
Different meetings,
And then why don't we establish a timeline that this happens in January, February, March, and April, so that by the end of the spring we have heard from a range of experts on this matter. Madam President, I ask that you please control your member. He said bullshit, I think. I'm pretty sure. So I would ask that we add that there be 4 speakers and that this take place in well-advertised community settings over 4 months in the spring, starting in January.
Okay. There's 2. Wait. First, we have to do one motion. So, are you making an amendment?
I'll make a motion.
No. You're making an amendment. Should you accept her amendment to her motion?
Well, I have to do a counter motion.
You have to vote on my motion.
She wants to vote on
You want to vote on her motion and then you can vote on your motion?
I thought the discussion was still open. I would ask that you please.
No, you're making as that. But when you made an amendment to her motion, so I'm asking her if she wants to accept your amendment. She said no.
That she wants to. Tatiana is willing to accept that amendment.
Okay.
What a joke.
I don't understand what they meant.
No, I don't accept the amendment.
Adding 4 speakers.
We have board meetings. I would like to know, are you saying that you want 4 separate meetings? What's exactly?
The only thing that I say is that if you do it a month, how long time
January, February.
then we need to have it condensed. Otherwise, we're gonna forget who was said what, when, and where, I think.
One of our problems is that we are rushing, and when we rush, we get this enormous influx of negative popular reaction from parents, and we feel like we are not thoughtful, and we're not careful, and we're not investigating things.
Which is why, which is why I'm asking for a thorough
Investigation. You're the one that's saying that, Tori. I'm sorry to say. Because we are doing it, because the reason why she's asking for this for the superintendent is so that we can inform ourselves and not rush it. We're the one that's saying that we're rushing it We're just trying to get information from the DOE.
And that's great.
So we're not rushing it.
Over a certain period of time so that everyone can know about it.
So right now, there's a motion, is the amendment. She did not accept the friendly amendment, or are you accepting it?
Within the 2 months.
Within the 2 months of January and February.
You know, have to go through the
Well-
process that you mentioned and have it out
Okay.
before you come and present.
Alright, are we finished with the discussion? Yes, okay. All in favor?
Okay, I'm just gonna call.
Yeah. Call.
So, Judith?
Yes.
State the motion, please.
Sure, if I remember now. The motion is.
This is my interpretation of the motion, is that we have Tatiana motioned that there would be a wide range of experts come and talk about the implications of choice. And added to that is that there be...
Options, talk about options.
So come and talk about what? Choice options?
Talk about options, and that includes choice.
Talk about options including choice. And then in addition that we hear from at least 4 different people. Oh, I thought that...
That's the amendment to the motion, so it's part of the motion.
I thought that Tatiana accepted. Okay, so that we'll hear from at least 4 experts over the course of 2 months in January and February.
And the presentation from the superintendent, is that also something that passes as
No,
a motion?
Why not? They can't be, but why we should then? If we're gonna do everything as a motion.
Can I make it?
don't have to redo it.
But
No, we already.
I'm expected to present every and I try to present on top of that request.
We actually need to promotion for this, but
So, do I need to make a motion?
no. All in favor? Okay.
Okay, so Rita?
On procedure, I believe that the CEC is required to solicit public comment.
Oh, yes, you're correct. You're correct, Josh. Josh, you're correct about that. I'm really sorry. Yeah, no, about the super, yeah, you are. About everything. So, anybody sign up for the superintendent? For the superintendent list? Does anybody have a comment about this motion right now? Let's do that. Raise your hand and I'll acknowledge you. Go ahead.
I have a question. I know that you're all here, Council. It seems like it's so difficult just to get a motion. Why can't it be part of them work together, one motion? Why is it a motion that is amended? The public doesn't know where any of you stand. So just say, why can't it just be one motion? Why does one person have to counter? Be quiet. You need a motion. Words to be part of the motion, put it together is one motion.
It is one motion. It is one motion, and we have to have a discussion. It's one motion, and there's a discussion as part of the process. He had his hand up first.
I just have an opinion. I know for a fact that if you really want to present anything to the chancellor or to the DOE, you have to be good prepared, because let me tell you, no matter some occasion, I've been involved in school for more than 20 years, and I know since the mayor took over the system, he screwed up the whole system. That's why most of the schools they down, because they got no supervision and they're not doing a good job. So I believe that if you do that, in my opinion, I think that they might going to take their own decision. If they take their own decision, it's going to be a big problem. So I believe that we as a parents, as a community, as a teacher leader, or whatever, we have to present something and say, that's what we want. But first of all, we have to discuss it now with the whole entire parents and the community and the elected official in our district. And then we can bring that to other districts and say, what are their expectations? And then we will send it to the board of to the DOE, because either way, they're going to screw up the whole thing like they did now with the school system. Okay?
Josh and then the lady in the room.
Es muy atinada la decisión que están tomando. The decision that they're taking is very, very accurate.
position.
Porque todavía yo ando en no entiendo bien la premura.
Because I still don't understand, I'm involved in all this, and I still don't understand why the hurry
Que tienen de que esto pase rápido.
to make this happen so fast.
Y la mayoría de la comunidad no sabe de esta situación.
And the majority of the community doesn't know about this situation.
Así es que es una decisión buena y aceptada porque los padres debemos estar claros de las decisiones que se van a tomar.
A good and very accurate and important decision because parents should be informed about the decisions that we need to take.
Gracias a todos, no se peleen en público. Que la ropa sucia se lave en la casa.
Zoning, and I would like an opportunity at a later point to speak on other aspects of the superintendent's report. But I'm concerned about the procedure of what is taking place here. The procedure of the CEC, and I speak as a past president of this body, is that motions are to be discussed and ratified at the next meeting. And they are then to come to a public meeting.
That's not true, Josh. You're making up rules that's not in our bylaws.
Excuse me, I was just interrupted.
That's why you're lying. Sorry. Go ahead, Josh.
That is the procedure. It doesn't mean that it cannot be adapted. However, there's a reason for that procedure. It is to establish consensus before a motion comes before the public. And I suggest that this matter be referred back to committee so that all of the issues and the questions can be decided or can be discussed and then voted on at a business meeting so that you know how to proceed and how to present this to the community. I can't make a motion, but I would suggest that be an acceptable motion so that the differences that are taking place on the number of speakers, the content of the speakers, have all been decided before the community is presented with this kind of confusion as to lack of consensus in this topic.
I know that we all want the best schools for our children as well, but I'm really confused as to why the rush to make this significant change in District 6. It seems like we're just all talking at cross purposes to try to get this done as quickly as possible. And if we're looking at doing this in the winter, we're in the middle of applying for next year's school. So if we're talking about this taking effect for the fall.
It's not.
Okay, so it would be great to communicate that.
We have.
Okay, I'd love to know how it's being communicated, because I know as a parent in the district, your child is in pre-K. I've heard nothing about this, except for in online parent listserv. There's not signs in the neighborhood, things like that. So I wouldn't know anything about it. And so as someone who's applying for school next year, I don't even know what to do, because I don't know if the whole process is changing. So it'd be great to just be transparent and communicate the process and communicate the timing and communicate how the decision is going to be made. Because another thing that I really don't understand is who makes the decision about if the district's being rezoned and how is that decision made. And it's clear today from the conversation that there's a lot of different opinions on the CEC itself. And is the CEC who makes the decision, or do they recommend it to someone else? Is the superintendent part of that decision? I don't know any of those things as a parent in the district. And as someone who's a pre-K parent who's going to have to live with this for a long time, that's really scary. And so I would just ask that the CEC really focuses on communicating to the parent what our options are, what proposals are on the table, how the decisions are being made, what the timeline is for the decisions, and when they're going to take effect. Because I actually thought that this was going to take place for the